Me and another mover were carrying like one of those popcorn like at-home popcorn machines that was on like wheels. It's kind of like what you see in a carnival. And we dropped it on hardwood floor. This was day one for me. No idea what I'm doing. The bloody murder scream that this woman screamed at 1 a.m. in the morning when we dropped this carnival popcorn machine in the middle of her foyer I'll never forget that.
Welcome to Movified Wednesdays. Let's go. Welcome to Movified Wednesdays.
Welcome back to Movified. I'm your host, Mark Hirschi, owner of Salmons and Ellis Moving and Storage, located in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, and it is Movified Wednesdays. Drum roll. I can't do this without my co-host, my best friend, Stephen Reed with Big League Movers out in Memphis, Tennessee. On deck deliveries, and of course, Ready Rolls.
Thank
you very much.
And you know I'm going to bring somebody from Tennessee. You're seeing a trend here. I'm overloading Wednesdays with Tennessee folks with pride, and we're enjoying weather today. Mark, in Tennessee, we got this. We're thinking shorts tomorrow. Who knows?
Oh, today there's a lot of.
I'm excited for this episode. We're going to dive into something that I nerd out a lot about. As y'all know, I nerd out a lot about, but we're going to be talking with an expert in this, and it's about data.
That's boom. Well, we got Hunter Monroe with USA Home Listings. What's up, Hunter?
Hey, y'all. Happy to be here. Repping Nashville.
I love it.
Shout out to Tennessee.
I love it.
Most beautiful people.
I love it. We all were just together at the MSC, the Moving and Storage Conference out in Nashville a couple weeks ago. This was super exciting. Such great times, man. I love Broadway, like the main downtown strip, man. It is phenomenal. The food is fantastic. It always makes me want to move down to Tennessee all the time. So, Stevens,
you're gonna make it happen one day. You're gonna make it happen one day. How do you? Hunter, how do you go from trucks to data? That's what we're going to find out today. I'll give you a short answer here, a little prequel.
Yeah. Oh, you want to answer right now?
How'd you end up from trucks to data? Let's go. It's Quentin Tarantino. You know how I like to do it, Mark. Get the end and then explain it.
The short answer is I met a girl. I met the love of my life. I lived in Atlanta. She lived in Nashville. So I needed a work from home job. And I needed to move to Nashville as soon as possible because that was going to be my wife.
Wow. And you can't do that moving, but you can do that in data.
You can't do that. Well, look, we're looking to turn signals into revenue, and what these kind of signals we're talking about is the data. And most of us that are dealing with data, we end up usually just letting it sit on a spreadsheet. It just sits there. We stare at it. We glance at it.
Don't you do that?
But that's the wrong way. You'll never get an ROI on paper that's just sitting there or just sitting in your Google Sheets. But today, our pre-trip is brought to you by Movified Masterminds. It is scaling with discipline, not just hype.
Sorry for slurping.
In the middle of
if you're looking to scale your company and you want to be situated with like-minded individuals, make sure that you are checking out movifiednation.com/masterminds. Just click that tab on there, fill out a quick form. One of the big things too that I brought up, the Moving Legends retreat that we did back in February, was we're not looking for the guys that are doing under $1 million. Honestly, we want to be sitting with guys that have already started to scale. They just don't know where to pivot. They don't know where to go. They need some guidelines. They want to be given a moderator that is sitting there.
7 digits?
7 digits.
You got to hit the 7 digits,
really
guys.
7 digits.
Revenue.
If you are almost there, you think you're going to get there this year, still fill out that form, because we also might just put a small group together so we can have a little bit more one-on-one with you and see where you're struggling.
Or like Connor Trent. Right? Connor Trent was like, hey, let me show you the numbers. I'm going to be 7 figures. Like, I'm on pace, bro.
Great.
And we had to get him in. Right?
Shout out to Connor.
Tennessee
right.
Another Tennessean. That's right. We're
there you go.
That's right. Okay. So
look, he's getting concerned about Vancouver over there.
Listen,
British
If you
Columbia.
also are not looking to join a mastermind, but you are more curious on just staying informed, you can also check out movifiednation.com, fill out that quick form, and you will automatic the newsletter form. This gets you locked in with 3 free SOPs right off the bat, and then you'll continue getting SOPs from each episode. So this way you're not just listening, but you're actually implementing.
Yeah, at some point in this episode, we're going to pressure Hunter for an SOP.
I like it.
We
Got some fun
some
ones.
standard operating procedures for our Movified Nation.
There you go.
Do we jump into the moving mindset?
I mean, go ahead.
Well, let's get our
Do
feet
what
wet.
you- I'm not that. You're the one that needs to keep me in bounds on the timing. You hit those things.
All right. Well, listen, we are. If you're tuning in today, guess what, guys? This ain't no joke. It is
91.
April Fools. It is April 1st. Shout out to my brother Andreas in Switzerland. It's his birthday today, and that ain't a joke.
Nice. I'm gonna give a shout out to my 9-year-old Nolan. He's living his best life on April Fool's. This is a big day for him.
Is it?
He's plotting it. He's been plotting things on his mom for a long time. So this is a big day. I'm so proud
That's
of
probably
him.
got to be like a core memory for a kid. Their first April Fool's joke or something.
for sure.
But they recognize he's been ready for this one.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We've been
exciting.
prepping since February.
I love it. Do not despise these small things. Momentum starts with movement. If you are ready in April, this movement should be, I'm ready hiring drivers, helpers, I'm building up, I'm starting out. If you've been watching the way the real estate's been going, the interest rates are slowly coming down, things are ramping up. Everybody, oh, for sure. Everybody that's been involved in the lot, and really killing it for the first quarter should have seen some solid numbers, better than last year, 100%. And if you're not, definitely join a mastermind group and be watching these episodes because, man, I was just talking to another moving company and their month of March was well over 500,000, and they're typically usually doing about 350. So, and that was like the middle of March. So they're probably well on their way. I think they should be well over 6. So, I mean, that's like summer months that you're talking about in some moving company industries. My challenge today is choose one small action item today that will create momentum for the week. Make the calls, clean the process, clean up, follow up, or fix the details. What small action have you been delaying that could create big momentum for you this summer? So make sure you're checking that out. Okay, Hunter.
And get the book.
Get the book.
By
Get
the
the
way,
book. Are
get
you
the
not
book.
in this book?
If you haven't got this book yet, you're crazy. Mark wrote it, 600 pages. It
You just
is.
helped me
I'm
out.
on. I've read all of 200 pages, so I'm a third way through and I've enjoyed every day. It's not a hard read. 2 pages a day, maybe a third on the end of the month. And I'm keeping up with the journal. I'm going to give you my completed book, Mark, like you'll ever look through it. But it'll be
Excited
something.
through it.
The wit and
That's
wisdom of Stephen.
Hunter, before
Chicken
we kind
scratch.
of, you kind of kicked in on here that you needed to pivot when you met the love of your life. But how did you get into the moving industry?
Well, did it work out first? Because there's a lot of stories. Okay, this is a success story. Because there's a lot of stories of moving somewhere and not seeing that person.
me. Yeah, so I got into the moving industry. I was working as a recovery tech for a in treatment patient center, like an addiction treatment center, and I just wanted like some extra side money. So I joined a local moving company as a mover back beginning of 2019 ish.
And it sucks you in.
And my first job was a 14-hour total job. That was a botched estimate. And I never forget, in the last hour of the move, me and another mover were carrying like one of those popcorn like at-home popcorn machines that was on like wheels. It's kind of like what you see in a carnival. And we dropped it on hardwood floor. This was day one for me. No idea what I'm doing. The bloody murder scream that this woman screamed at 1 a.m. in the morning when we dropped this carnival popcorn machine in the middle of her foyer I'll never forget that. So that was my introduction to this beautiful
And
industry.
you fell in love,
And
obviously.
I fell in love immediately. Well, I loved the paycheck I got after the
Yeah.
14-hour day.
Even with the popcorn.
Even with the popcorn machine problem. So yeah, fast forward 6 months or so, the owner of this, and it was a startup. He had 2 trucks at this point. He was going to go get married, and it was going to go to like a island, remote. You can't reach him when he's there. He was going to do that for
relevancy.
And he needed help while he was gone, booking jobs, making sure the trucks were all cleaned up. It was just him. He was a one-man army. So he said, hey, you 4 or 5, which I was one of the 4 or 5, come to my house. I'll teach you how to run the business while I'm gone. I'll pay you X amount of dollars while I'm gone. And
you're the only one that showed up, huh?
I'm the only one that showed up. So
really?
I was the only one that showed up. So that's how I got the term general manager of this startup moving company. It was the night before he flew out. He and I sat down for
such the moving industry, right?
He and I sat down for 8 hours in his, at his kitchen table. I learned everything I could about his business. We did test calls, we did test jobs, booking confirmations, all that stuff, how to take deposits. And then he flew out next day. Good luck. In that 2 weeks he was gone, whether it was because of me or not, or I just managed the chaos, I set a record level of number of revenue generated in that 2-week span while he was gone. So that made him pumped up. And then I joined his business full-time as GM. It was January 2020. Very eager and excited to take on this new job. Little did I know 2020 would be the most insane year.
Great year to be a GM. All right, let's pivot. And learn how this whole thing works. Yeah. Everybody, you get a mask. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we were in the middle of Atlanta, which is just, I mean, you're moving every shape and size of person in Atlanta, and there's people that are never leaving their house. There's people that are COVID isn't real, and I'm just going to do what I want. And you're meeting the full spectrum of everybody in a city like that.
Georgia was wild. Georgia was wild too. It was. There's no way about it. You show up in mass, somebody's mad, or if they're not mad about showing up in mass, they're mad you're not. Right? You're
meeting every single person. So, but in that, I mean, that was the catalyst of how I learned this industry, was managing that chaos. And then by the time I left, which was the fall of 22, and I moved to Nashville, we ended up having about 8 trucks total. Okay. I mean, we had a couple.
And how many in the beginning when you first started? 2. That's right. 2. Jeez. Okay.
2.
Great.
Yeah. So we grew to 8. Growth. I mean, we had 10 trucks total, but you always got 1 or 2 that are out. So we were
in the movie, bro. We count those.
That's right.
We count those. Just so you know those.
On my LinkedIn, it says 10 trucks, but
so if everybody's listening on Movified, we count those, right?
I mean, in our bread and butter, whether this was the best strategy or not, it's all I ever knew. Is we would find like 2005, 2006 GMC U-Hauls, that had plenty of miles on them, and ran them into the ground. That's what worked for us. And that's when they were pretty affordable. Pricing for those is gone.
Yeah, if you can find a really good heavy duty mechanic and make sure like you didn't buy a lemon on those trucks, like to me that's a fast way to grow. It's how I did it with Action Movers as well too. If you can get in there, you're not drowning in debt, leases and financing and everything.
F700s are rough.
Well, yeah. I
did the same thing, but I did F700s. It got rough out there.
Yeah.
But shout out to Bessie, my first truck.
A lot of black smoke, hey, Steven?
Oh, Bessie.
little couple kickbacks. Boom! All out of nowhere.
Oh, man. No, that was our first truck was a 2000 GMC U-Haul. That thing. I don't know how we survived.
When you look back at those 2 years of navigating, especially like that is a wild time from 2020 to 2022 of navigating,
Nuts.
and then you've seen this massive growth. You know, when you think of the responsibility.
When did you go to Nashville?
October 22. So it was like 3 years total being in the GM seat.
What was some of the, when you think back of the responsibility roles that you had, what were some of the biggest takeaways that you would recommend as, someone listening to this going, okay, I might even look at putting a GM in place, or I just put someone in place and I'm trying to grow. What tools should they apply to that GM?
Yeah, and I guess,
because you got thrown
I wouldn't
to the
necessarily,
wolves, so,
Yeah, and I think I took it as far as me personally being in that role. Like, I didn't have any ownership in the business, I didn't have any equity in the business, but I saw it was like I could run this thing as if I did own it, and kind of take on that owner mindset, intrapreneur, if you will, and that's how I ran it. I was looking at our marketing strategy, I was looking at our payroll percentage, I was looking at our gross profit, I was looking at are we paying movers enough, and what's our recruiting and hiring strategy and retention strategy, and then what's our lead close rate, what's our our opportunity close rate. I was looking at all and everything. So I just became obsessed with learning, and I think that's probably the main thing that I would look for if I was looking to fill this role, is who's just hungry to learn and know the business.
Who's listening to Movified if they're interested, right? Who's using resources out there?
Yeah, I think ultimately, you want to just replicate your own. If I'm the owner, I want to replicate my own self in this individual, and then I want to empower that individual to replicate themselves, in their sales reps and their ops managers that they're managing. This is really the head coach of your business. You want them to fill the staff.
So 2 to 10 trucks, where did you recognize leads were leaking when you got in there?
Yeah, I think, well, you said the $1 million benchmark, which, for me, I guess that was around, I like to equate one truck with about $350,000 of revenue a year. So I think if you're at 3 trucks, you're probably doing a little bit over $1 million a year. That's when I started noticing it's no longer just, a bunch of bros moving stuff together. And then it becomes a business that you really have to structure and maintain and start tracking. And so that was where we really started looking at, okay, when someone puts in a website form, how quickly are we getting back to it?
Yeah, that's where you saw it. Was the follow-up or urgency in the leads?
Yeah, and I think for us, at least me, I was in a different time. 2020, it was shooting fish in a barrel to get people to book on your calendar, like sub 3% interest rate. Yeah, you don't have to go far to find people to move. In today's world, yeah, I think anything less than 5 minutes of getting that initial reach out in, and I'm not talking an automated email, a phone call and text, you're hurting yourself. And I think that, especially as a smaller mover in a big market like we were, that was extremely important for me. Is I was just obsessed with getting back to people as soon as I could, for better or for worse. Yeah.
Right? When you're configuring and setting up smart moving, it triggers all kinds of, we could do this or we could do that. You may not have ever thought about those options, but smart moving compels you to think about it while you're going through the setup and configuration process and onboarding process of adopting the program into your business. And that's really cool. That's super powerful because you're leveraging the experience of smart moving through the research for moving industry to create this incredible tool while you're just maybe like a 4-man operation and getting started in the moving business. But now you've got this wealth of information that comes just by default because you purchased the program.
That's the whole idea. We build stuff with movers by our side, not just in mind.
Hey everyone, Matty Mailers here, the guy who pioneered handwritten letters for the moving industry. Why? Because my competition at my moving company was using the same stock postcards as me, and my mailing company didn't care. So I created a better way. Here's some mind-blowing results in July. Miracle Movers Utah closed $93,000 using our handwritten letter strategy. With our campaigns, you can forget about the guessing games. You get a trackable phone number, daily photo proof, an incredible design team, and I'm also included. All letters stop at me for approval before they ever leave our facility. Right now, Movified listeners get 1,000 golden tickets stuffed in our genuine handwritten letters completely free. Plus, I'm going to throw in bulk realtor data for up to 5 counties. What are you waiting for? Moving Letters AI. Stop competing, start dominating.
Do you think like the speed to lead was a big issue when you were starting to analyze right in the beginning of the day, going, okay, we're definitely missing the mark on here. This is why we're only operating 2 trucks.
There probably wasn't a mark, I'm guessing. There probably wasn't a mark until you got in there.
No, I mean, and you know, and I get it. You know, especially when you're kind of a one-man army running everything on your own.
You're on the
maybe
trucks.
you
You're
have
not going back to the answering machine. Yeah.
You know, you're driving to your next job. You're trying to book a move while you got one phone in the other hand. Maybe the guy next to you is dealing with another customer who's upset because you're running late to that job. You know, you got another truck maybe somewhere else in town that's bottomed out, or you know, it's getting currently worked on. The list goes on of where you're at. So, you know, I don't look as a speed to, you know, if someone's speed to getting to a lead is slow, I don't necessarily look at that as like, oh, they're just lazy or they're not doing the work. More than likely, you're just distracted, and you don't have a role or a focus.
Now,
on
when you
that.
pivot away from just organic leads and leads coming through the website, I'm assuming at that point too, you weren't doing any mailers. Like there was nothing being sent out to customers. You weren't utilizing any type of data of homes for sale
Before you got
there. Was there like an aha moment where you're going, hey, wait a second here. There's this Greg Shepard with USA Home Listings, you know, the OG and marketing's out here. We should.
What up, Greg?
Was there like that aha moment where you're like, hey, guy, like, you know, we should actually be doing mailers?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely was Well, I think marketing and moving is timeliness of our marketing is really important, because I could post a Facebook ad for a t-shirt business. I can buy a t-shirt 365 days out of the year. You know, it's just whenever I want. I can't make someone move, so I can try to market to someone all year about moving. It doesn't matter if they're not moving. So I think that's where the postcard, if it's contingent upon a house being newly listed, made a lot of sense to me. And I think, you know, probably 2019, 2020, postcards were still a little bit more of a secret about, you know, them working, and it was an upcoming avenue in our business. Now I know it's, you know, very well.
I tell you, I met Eric in 2020, and I had done mailers, and I just thought nobody looks at me. I was putting myself in the buyer, but I'm not a customer, right? But I was putting myself as a buyer, and Eric had to tell me, like, dude, I know you tried it, but you need to effing try it and commit to it. Stop your 3-month testing. Just commit to it, and it'll turn ROI. I remember that moment. But it's not new to the industry. It was just kind of like commitment to it, right?
Well, and funny enough, you know, being in Atlanta, I'm not even just making this up. Once a week, I would go to Works Moving and Storage's website and just try to copy whatever they were doing. You know, oh, their website form has this? Great. That's going to be ours. Oh, they're doing these photos? Great. That's going to be ours. Like, he probably doesn't remember this. Eric called me the summer of like 2020. You know, I don't know why, but he like called our business line and talked to me for like 30 minutes about.
Not to do that. Get stop copying everything off our website.
So maybe I don't. It was a good conversation.
We'll have to ask him. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to ask.
But again, I mean,
Yeah.
this is especially now when you think of social media. I remember someone telling me, don't get discouraged because you follow 300 moving companies and you're watching their feeds and they're all doing these really cool videos. That moving company is not in your area, and those followers aren't watching that other moving company that is like across Canada or like down south, and copy what they're doing. Like, do the same thing. It's not the end of the world just because you decide to copy what they're posting. And the same thing goes with websites too. Why reinvent the wheel? You can only get better. But yeah, I mean, I remember I mentioned this on the show too before, years and years ago when I first started, going to an older couple, and they were being evicted because the homeowner sold the house, and the only reason they knew they were having to move was because they got mailers at the house. And I always vowed, saying, I will never, I felt so bad for them, and she's crying and all this kind of stuff. I was like, I'm never going to do mailers. I don't want to be that moving company to upset them. And to me, at the end of the day, when I think back at that, it totally hindered my business because at that time, we're talking, 2010, 2011. And
you made a decision based on that one person that affected revenue for a lot of years.
Could have been huge.
That's one of those if I could change one thing moments. You get those in a lot of panels and Q&As.
Yeah.
If you change one thing,
Mark's
is going to be like, I would have done postcards in 2010, but this lady started crying.
I also probably would have become a SaaS company too. I mean, I remember going through massive frustrations in like 2008, 2009. And by the time it was like 2012, trying to still deal with everything with paper and pen and losing my mind over the lack of really solid CRMs out there. And going from start to finish, and being who I am, especially now, I look back on it going like, I could have done my own software and like designed my own and invested in there, had I really thought outside the box. But I didn't have peer groups like this where you go, man, like I have a group of people that I can consult with, and how do we fix this and how do we build this up?
Yeah. Same here. It's all private land, figuring out on our own. Hey, how'd you end up, shout out to Winston, but how'd you end up getting in the recruiting world?
Yeah.
Is that when you moved? Yeah, how did that work? So you moved to Nashville and got that, or did you do that before you moved?
Yeah, shout out to Winston Davis. He, I knew I was going to move spring of 22, and I was trying to, and I knew I didn't want to stay in moving. I was pretty burnt out. Objectively, I was ready to try something different. So I reached out to him because he had put a post on Facebook about wanting to hire people for Move Up. So I was like, hey, I think I could do this, and it worked out. So then by the time I moved in October of 22, took the role with Move Up. Since I was work from home, that gave me the flexibility. I didn't need to stay in Atlanta anymore. Proposed to my wife that same month after the move. Now we've been married for 2 years. So that worked out pretty great.
So you got to know all of us crazy business owners at that point.
Yeah, then that's where my world blew up, and I started getting, tapped into MCOU, tapped into the conferences, and meeting you crazy folks. And it was truly such an eye-opening experience for me, because just to be able to go to a conference and hear me talk about my deep struggles with the moving industry and how I thought these were impossible to work through. For someone to raise their hand and be like, hey, I go through that too.
Oh yeah.
Here is my solution. That meant a lot to me, because the amount of nights where I felt so alone trying to figure out this very frustrating business of moving. Genuinely, if I were tapped into this group earlier in my moving career, maybe I'm still a mover. I'm very thankful for how everything's worked out today. But being connected and involved with these groups and podcasts and everything, it's huge. We can't do it alone. Got to do it with a group.
And what were you placed in? Like, what kind of roles were you placed in moving organizations when you're in that role? You're pretty much finding you for organizations in a lot of ways, right? For what you did.
Yeah. We were full top down. So that's your GMs, sales reps, ops guys, movers, drivers. It was mixed bag. Kind of had buffet of options there. And what and because because of how that was one thing that made a lot of sense to me when I was a GM. It's like movers are the fuel for the business. Like you can have the greatest marketing in the world, but if you don't have the trucks or people for it, you're just lighting money on fire. So that was something that made a lot of sense to me when I started working with Winston.
If you're considering Snowball, just do it.
Snowball creates done-for-you referral programs for moving companies so you can turn happy customers into new revenue without lifting a finger. And the results speak for themselves.
In less than a year, we've collected over 2,000 referrals.
We generated over $200,000 of revenue that cost about $5,000 to do it.
I believe we had 4 or 5 the very first day.
The companies winning with Snowball are the ones that already care about their customers. We just help turn that into new business through human outreach and customer nurturing.
Snowball is part of the arsenal of tools that I recommend to my clients because it works.
Being found on the second page of Google is literally like having a billboard in the middle of the desert. Your mama ain't gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. You're on the second page of Google, no one's gonna call, no one's gonna book. Here is the deal. If your business is not ranking on the top of Google, that means your competitors are going to be stealing your customers every single day. So at Rotate Digital, we don't play any guessing games. We use data-driven SEO strategies to make sure Google finds you first so that these Google searches turn into your customers, not your competitors' customers. How do we do it? We do it through AI-driven keyword optimization, exclusive blog networks, backlinking strategies, and honestly, the secret stuff, the proprietary lead attribution software. So what do you get as a result? You get not only good marketing, but now you get clarity into what is bringing you more revenue. So if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure your leads find you and not your competition, go ahead and go to rotatedigital.com, schedule a call, and we'll help you take your business to the top of Google.
And now you pivot, you're at USA Home Listings. We're going to kind of jump onto, well, it is actually time. I'm behind the ball here because we're at our Dolly Dash segment with Mr. Hunter Monroe. All right, buddy. Are you ready for this?
It's his first time Dolly Dash. Is this a first timer?
I don't know what it is.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Even better.
Okay, you got 60 seconds to answer. Mark has 60 seconds to ask the question.
For all questions or each question?
Each question.
Okay. 60 seconds each question.
It's supposed to be 30 seconds, but we'll give you 60 seconds.
We can do 30. It's fine.
Well, if I don't do something, it's going
That's
2
right.
minutes.
I know.
I
always find by the time we get to
you.
the 5th question, it's already like over, and we're already moved on to something totally different. This Dolly Dash,
and then I'm like, hey, I got one.
This Dolly Dash is brought to you by BHCA Insurance. Call Trey Scallion. He is the guy at 501-278-0105 or visit them at bhca.com. DOT compliance, we're talking hiring practices, insurance premiums. All of these things are different levers that can either make or break your business. So you really want to make sure that they can help you get a tailored strategy and negotiate with the insurance companies as well too. Know which levers to pull. But call Trey. Get him to run.
Trey really helped out my business.
Get him to run the Movified strategy for your business, and they will help save you lots of money year after year. They have,
and you know what? It's not just one of those things. There is a Movified strategy that Trey has asked and talked to Mark and I what we'd like to recommend to moving. So if you go back to our insurance episode, you'll hear my interesting view that Trey taught me on moving. But there's a way that he will involve other agents and get you the best price.
Sure. Okay, you ready?
And his team will work on your DOT and things of that nature to really hold your hand and be a partner to the organization.
It's worth a call. All right, ready? Right. Tier 1 or Tier 2 for a $2 million company?
Ooh. Tier 2.
Why?
What's the difference in the two?
Well, Tier 1 is homeowner, first, last name, and address. Listing status. For postcards. Price and square footage. Tier 2 is what opens up the playbook, and you get the phone number and email of the home seller, and then you get the phone number and email of the realtor and broker as well. So there's just a lot more meat and potatoes when it comes to tier two. And I think a $2 million moving company, just a lot of creative ways to use that extra data to keep it within 30 seconds.
I like that. You're doing really good. Yeah. Biggest mistake movers make with listing data?
They give up too easily. So I was just having a conversation today with a mover. They were sharing frustrations, legitimate frustrations with me. Hey, I'm working this data. I'm not getting a hold of anyone. I asked, hey, how often are you recalling the same people? And they're like, I'm just one and done. As soon as I call someone, I move on to the next one. And so I could be the best lead in the world. And if you call me during my lunch break and you leave a voicemail, and then you never try to get a hold of me again, I think we're leaving opportunity on the table.
That's like getting a lead for a move. I mean, you have to treat them all the same.
Yeah. Same
crazy
thing. Yeah.
Okay. So. What is the one thing you wish every client of yours heard?
We are a patient marketing tool. Today's April 1st, April Fool's, with how slow things are moving in the market.
Shout out to Nolan.
April 1st postcard is probably like a June 1st move. So,
it's a good point.
You're just getting in the door early. So be patient.
Don't be like me and want to have mailers and expect the phone calls to start ringing within seconds. Right? And you have any type of marketing tool that you get yourself involved in, you have to give it a minimum 3 months, at least 6 months before you really start seeing traction. Just my advice. One KPI every mover must track weekly.
How many movers have you thanked in your business this week?
Okay.
Opportunity space.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I know you are already on top of every number and metric and spend. You're doing that already. How many movers have you talked to? How many movers have you thanked? That's what I want to know.
Who should not buy listing data?
If you don't want to grow, then it does not make sense to buy our data.
That's funny.
That's a good Dolly dash.
Good Dolly dash.
Well, you survived it. You feel all right? You feel like you survived it?
I feel good. I think I lost a couple of hairs, but that's okay. Yeah.
I'm still fighting. I look good on this show with the hair. This is a good hair day for me with the show.
Yeah, this is fresh shave.
Now,
so,
if we kind of shoot back to this listing data, the different tiers, we talked about this in the Dolly Dash. If someone doesn't have a CRM, which God bless them, figure your life out if you don't have a CRM, should they even consider it? But let me do the flip side of this one. If they have a CRM that is maybe super basic, maybe they haven't transitioned from Jobber to like a Smart Move or Movegistics. Maybe they're with like a Move Ninja or worst case scenario Moveware, which we use, which is a great software, just a very tough CRM system where you can't get
worst case scenario.
Should they consider it?
You can consider it. I think it's fine. Personally, I would probably look at getting a more modern moving CRM, a more fleshed out moving CRM. And, there's plenty of great ones on the market. Take your pick. Because I think then it's okay. I'm getting the thousands of listings in my area every month. Now what? Do you have the time and energy or even the resources and people to call, text, email all those listings 2 to 3 times to really get the data from it? That's where I think when you start playing the tape forward and where I hear a lot of customers' frustrations, it's not that they can't get the value, it's that they don't have the time to spend the value. So I would really make sure that you're using some sort of system, people, to get your time back when you're working this data.
When you go, let's go back to 2020 when you took over. Do they have a CRM?
No, we were Google Sheets all the way. I built a calendar booking system via Google Sheets.
If I could share something, I'm a data nerd. If I could share something, if you just a little bit of the other side of things, I'm very cautious working with on tier 2 data of people putting it ready right into their CRM. If you're not ready for that, it is going to skew the shit out of your numbers. So I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying go ahead and have a plan for it. I recommend going outside of it.
Yeah. So I would say to that, and I've talked with all the CRM, a good chunk of CRMs about this. Their definition of a lead, according to the CRMs, is all the information we have in our tier 2, phone number, email, homeowner name, starting address. But it also, the definition of a lead needs to include move date. We don't have that. And it needs to include return address. We don't have that either. So, Steve and I would agree with you. I think our data is great for like a HubSpot or email platform.
Go high level is what we usually recommend.
And then as stuff comes to a fruition of like, oh, I'm interested. When people say I'm interested from your outreach,
that's the pop. Yeah.
That's when they go into the CRM.
And I'll be honest, I recommend the same thing with leads that you buy cold, like Move Matcher and all those things. Until you actually confirm their leads, don't skew your numbers.
Yeah. Any cold data pull, I would caution to put into your CRM directly. I would, I say, wash it, work through it, and then let the interested parties get put into CRMs. Good call out.
Awesome.
We recently hired Ready Rolls to help us with hiring some offshore help, some VAs, and they've done an amazing job. They found the perfect candidate for our company. Not only that, they helped answer the questions that we had about the process. Initially, hiring a VA can be a bit intimidating, but they answered all the questions. It's been an amazing experience. Our VA has been a huge part of our success thus far. We're actually in the process of hiring a few more right now. Definitely see them as being a key part of our growth and reaching our goals in 2025. And another game changer for our company. I'm confident to be a game changer.
Visit ReadyRolls.com. There is now a better way to scale.
When we think of AI and the technology that USA has put in, and especially when we talk about like vacancy AI, I think it's such a great tool because when you're getting your listing data, here's 500 homes that are for sale, and maybe 200 of them, nobody is living there, right? They're Airbnbs, someone's posted it, it's someone's second home, no one's really checking the mail. It's a lot of wasted mailers, in my opinion. Having this tool, how realistic is the elimination?
Yeah, I mean, we tested it quite a bit before we released it. We actually had, a human go through a list. We had the AI go through a list of furnished and non-furnished homes, and their results were identical. They were able to replicate the same.
When it comes to the AI side, is it trying to see like on Zillow like a staged home? Like I always wonder, like how do you really find out? Like, is it trying to like find the names and businesses?
Yeah, with the AI pictures, does AI catch AI?
Well, not even the AI pictures. It's just you can, when you see a home and they have the photos listed up there, you can kind of tell. All right, like this is a totally staged home. They probably brought furniture in, everything else in. Is AI really trying to like? Is that some of the criteria that it's picking up?
Yeah. Really? So with a future platform that we're working on, we'll have some of those extra capabilities. Ours is just able to see whether the rooms are actually vacant or not. There is and I'll have to double check on the kind of because there are some listings where it's like there's one room that has furniture in it. Oh, and I'm zooming in on my face. Hold up. There's one.
I do it all the time. Yeah.
there's like one furnished picture, and then everything else is
Right.
vacant. That we're able to pick up. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's because I know for some movers, and I even fall in this category. It feels like magic to
Sure.
me, the AI stuff. Like, how can it actually do that? People can toggle it off in the portal. If it's so like, oh, this feels too good to be true, you don't have to use it. It's just there for you if you want to use it. And
I'll definitely say it as the non-rep for the company. Use it. It'll save you a lot of money on your
it
postage.
saves money. Yeah.
What percentage are you seeing on that sub? What percentage
So-
of houses are you flagging?
If I do full sweep of the country any given day, it's 30%.
Wow.
30% of the data.
So essentially, it pays for itself through not posting,
Right.
not sending postcards to that, but you're getting cleaner data to work on. You're doing less work as well.
And that's cleaner data of who you're calling, who you're reaching out to, the realtors for those addresses. Yeah, that's cleaner energy and work for everything you're doing with the data. That's not even specific to the mailers. I think is
It's
important.
so crucial. Like the way, and we'll I've made quite a little bit of a living off data and how to use it, and it's so crucial to any time moment that I can save for my VAs at readyrolls.com. .com. But any time that I can save with anything just to get them using their mouth, like Hunter said, and calling, that's another hit I'm going to get. So I'm trying. Like, I recommend strongly using the AI tool to cut those down, and also to save time, because one booking is going to pay for that tool for the month if they get it during, instead of spending 2-3 hours vetting through the data.
Now,
And I know, with your postcard, a lot of people that get that card in the mail, they're going to see, big league. Oh, let me Google these guys. And then they're going to fill out a website form after they Googled you.
Yeah.
Hey, how'd you hear about us? Oh, well, I just Googled you. And so, really the postcarding of itself is I see it really as an amplification of your online presence. Because the majority of people, when they get the card in the mail, they're going to Google you, and they're going to see your 4.9 Google rating, or they're going to see your 3.9 Google rating. So postcard is amplifying the work that you've already done.
So basically,
on
what
your
you're saying
business.
is this: what you tell everybody when the mailers aren't working. No, I'm joking. It's a totally given fact, though, right? I mean, it's like your marketing material. Your business card doesn't look the same as your brochure, and your website looks super different. But you've shot them all out and handed them out to someone else. If you are sending out a beautiful mailer and you have all this information, they're going to turn around. They're going to Google search you, just like Hunter said. They're going to go on your website. They're going to do some more investigation. And the idea is that if you get in house, you kind of and you're sending someone to do an on-site estimate or a virtual estimate. If you've done your mailer correctly with some type of promo, some type of offering, they're usually going to bring this up. Oh, wait a second. I thought you have this discount. Oh, you must have got our mailer, right? You just got the letter in the mail. I want to make this kind of short on this one because I want to talk about data activator roles. But for a lot of people that just get the data licensing, right? I just get it. I'm just getting the data. I did this for a while with Canada Home Listings as well too. I'm like, look, I sometimes just want the data. Sometimes it's nicer to almost do it in-house. But if I'm taking this data and I'm having it go into my CRM, and now I'm getting VAs to do, like, I got a data activator role from readyrolls.com. And is there like a licensing agreement? Like, am I going to, is there things that are allowed and not allowed that I'm allowed to my VAs to reach out to?
Sure.
Yeah. What's the technical answer, data man?
Yeah. So the answer, for us, ultimately it's the mover's choice on what they do with the data. I know every state has do not call list that the mover will have to scrape and cross-reference. For the I think it's like from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. are the call hours that you have to call people within. I don't know what crazy person is going to call someone 8 p.m. on a night, and still be compliant. That's nuts. Don't do that. Steven and I
Which, by the way, Hunter has had to advise me.
We've talked about
don't have your staff call after 5 moving company gets owners get mad. And I said, what do you mean? I've been selling for a year and calling people. And he's like, yeah, your people aren't Stephen Reed calling them. So they're not really likely to talk to them after 5. So it's just kind of funny teaching moment.
My own personal feedback, don't call during dinner. If I'm sitting at home with my family and I get a cold call, it's just not the most time I'm open to hearing from someone.
Don't.
So.
But it's kind of, there's a risk in it, right? So when you are getting them to call and you're not scrubbing the do not call list, there's a risk in that. It's your ROI versus the risk, kind of like everything we do. If you do get caught, which I haven't heard of a mover getting caught yet, but if you do get caught by something, there is a fine to pay. What my stance is, and I hope the department of whatever doesn't listen to this, but my stance is I'll make enough money to pay that fine gladly when it happens.
I like it.
I don't know if we should air that, but that's my political answer.
There is no delete button.
That is the big league movers strategy.
Here's an SOP for it. Let's talk. I want to talk about the data. I want to talk about the data activator role. We've talked about it many times on the show, but this is such a key tool and function that you should have within your company. And we talked about this before we jumped on air. In Canada, we're basically given such stringent privacy laws and not much information. When you go to the United States and you have so much data, and that you can apply this.
We sell each other's information like crazy.
It's fantastic for a moving company owner and any kind of home service business as well too. But you created a data activator role, and I want you to I want to really keep this to under 5 minutes. So Stephen, you're on a time crunch here, but you have kind of like an 8-step, process of exactly kind of what they do as well too. Can you run through those at that pipeline for us?
Yeah. I'd like to give a shout out to Eric. Right, so Eric and I relationship started. Really, we had a transaction, but we really got to know each other with my love for data and his love for data. And since, I'd say 2020, part of my significant amount of growth has been using the data. And before USA made it easy for us here, right, it was combing the data, finding people's, I was crazy about it. I'd find people's contact information. I'd find their Facebook, whatever it is. But really, at the end of the day, I'm a sales rep and I'm a business owner looking at a list of average ticket $3,000 jobs that's coming to my inbox in the morning that I had set up in a system. And boy, when you look at it that way and say, hey, here's 3,000 jobs and you need to hit a number, it makes you look at things differently. And so since 2020, kind of running through the data, testing the data for more than just postcards, I created a pretty damn successful system that has made me the local hometown dominator, and created this role for Ready Rolls to kind of instill that in somebody. And by the way, Ready Rolls candidates do it better than me because I even get discouraged on cold calling, right? I'm not a machine on that. But I created a role that could get results in instilling it with data in the moving industry, one per market. And so what we set somebody up to do, what we onboard somebody to do, we recruit them for you, right? You approve them, it's going to be your relationship. It's a placement. We're not taking anything after the one-time fee, the onboarding fee. And what that person does is they're still to call homeowners within 24 hours of that data saying they got just listed a new home or they have a pending contract, right? And those two things I have two different scripts for. One's kind of more of a build a relationship for an estimate, and the other one's more for I know you have a date, let's go, right? And this person does not sell directly. They set up sellers. right? Because no VA is going to know the industry well enough in the first 2 weeks because they don't have moving to be selling. So don't make that mistake. Set them up for your closers to do more. We also teach them to be an answering service so your salesman can do more, right? To set up more appointments. We log every touch, right? We log every touch. We'll set them up in a CRM if you want. We'll set them up in a Google Sheet if we want. Right. So if you're wanting a little extra touch and to run something through Go High Level, we set that up. Or we also set up a basic Google Sheet, but we will also work it in Smart Moving, what we teach them. But again, I don't recommend that yet. We run a structured 5-touch cadence with those clients each day. We message listing agents, right, after the moves. So we're going to take those real estate agents, have that data of who listed that, and we reference it every day, and we're going to message the feedback from your client, good or bad. I recommend bad first because you want that person's going to hear, that realtor's going to hear it anyway, and you're saying, I'm working on it, and you can make a raving fan. But we're giving feedback to the realtor the next day of the move, after the move. So even if they don't know us, it's a pleasure working with you.
Yeah, that's great.
We're booking weekly coffee meetings, and not like – I watched a report the other day on Fox Business, and the headline was there's 30% more realtors than there are listings in the U.S., right? So we're focused on the way I did it. It's getting coffee meetings and relationships with people that can send you a $3,000 job, right? That's what I want to know. I'm going to the coffee meeting. I want to know the value, at least one job they have on the market. Okay. So we're setting up coffee meetings for whoever you want to have those coffee meetings. And then we're managing social engagement with the realtors the way I know how and the way I set up. And a key, because this is your freelancer after we set it, we want you to send just a basic report. That person reports on themselves to you and us. And that's an ROI report. That's your data cost, your VoIP cost, and then the cost for themselves. And they want to do an ROI report. There's 2 reasons why we want to have that. One, it's a simple report, and knowing the culture in the Philippines that we set up, we don't want them to send how many people they texted, how many people they emailed, how many people they called, because they'll think they're doing the job. We want them to know the job is to make money, and they're going to have bad weeks. We want them thinking differently. What do I need to change? Is my phone being reported as spam? There's something that's causing this for me to get a different result. So we want to keep that simple. Stupid. You know I'm a KISS fan. Keep it simple, stupid. Right? And those are the things in the 2-week period that we know how to do and do well. And Hunter will tell you, it's activating the data. There couldn't be a better name. There is people getting 65 times ROI that I'm getting reported to weekly with our system. And I'm looking at Monique R's like somebody raised the bar. Vincent raised the bar last week.
Unreal. Yeah.
So that's our own. And so that's what we have. This role owns the pipeline of the data. Tier 2 gives us the signal. The data activator that we set converts it.
Well, and Mark, you asked earlier, hey, how could people, when are people ready to use a data platform like this? And I think, Steven just gave you the full playbook. This is exactly what it does. You don't have go try it. Go do it. That is this whole process. If you have the time and energy and resources, you don't have to work with Steven. You don't have to work with us. There's the full playbook. So, it takes a lot of work, and the people that can work it
are doing well. Look at the ROI.
Get a lot of success.
Yeah. And I will say, hey, Monique and John, I shout out to my team. I was doing this myself at first. And then I had my sales reps doing it, and they crushed numbers that I was never, ever producing because they don't have that discouragement. They know they're trying to get that ROI. That's the main goal. And they're calling and they're calling and they're calling, and they're doing way more calls than I ever tried and then my sales team ever tried. So I want to share that there's something about the culture over there that they're not too good for a cold call, and they know the results of the cold call. And I guess I'm too good for the cold call looking at my numbers back. I was happy with them. Now I'm looking at look at me.
Yeah.
I was fancy, huh? I was too good for that. They know the result, and that ROI report keeps it. So I don't know if I kept it under 6 minutes, but I think I tried decent.
You were almost
like
there.
10,
I think
I went straight to the points. I didn't get
like
off.
10 minutes, but that's all good. I'm just joking. Look, this has been a great episode. I really appreciate Hunter being on here. You know, this full wrap is brought to you by ReadyRolls.com. Ready Rolls helps operators.
What perfect timing,
perfect.
too.
Well, this is why I wanted
perfect timing just to roll. This is a great episode for me. I'm having a great time.
In right here. Because it helps operators
a wonderful
install
episode.
roles like the Data Activator, so your data actually can convert instead of sitting unused. And Steven just gave that massive playbook of how this can generate massive ROI, and especially with the summer right around the corner, get on it. Hunter said it. If you're doing this now and applying this now, you have a chance to be in full effect by June. So, and it's just going to carry on for the rest of the year. If
I gotta
no
tell
one,
you too, like we were at the.
If no one owns the outbound, you don't have outbound. Hire a DAR, a Data Activator role today. It's only going to cost you $1,000 a month.
What a line!
I am trying to push Ready Rolls here with the Data Activator role, and he wants to cut me off in between.
And I'm trying to interrupt it. See, it's not just my interest. I'm just the interrupter.
What's some action items though for you, Steven?
Oh, you want me to go ahead and go through the action items? Okay. All right. I think it's key. What I've summarized, what Hunter said a couple of times in the episode in different ways. Don't buy data if you're not ready to own the data, right? The worst thing that you could do for Hunter or me not hiring a Ready Roll. But the worst thing you could do for Hunter is buy it, hold him to a standard for the ROI on it, and not do anything with it. Let it sit on a shelf, right? So be prepared to sign the data. Number 2 action item, if you are in tier 1 stage, get prepared and get on the tier 2. There is a lot of money in the data. You're missing out on $1 million of revenue at least in any market by not working the data. Somebody will. Speed to lead standards, work on those. Hunter's identified that and changed a moving company and 4x'd it in a number of 2.5 years. Also, hire a Data Activator role from ReadyRolls.com. I'm going to put that on the action item. But Mark, when I say that action item, you were just at the Legends Retreat with me and hearing everybody that has hired and has their territory. And what were you hearing? I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I'm floating right now off that trip.
It was amazing. And even when we were at the MSC event, talking to some of the moving company owners that have actually went ahead and applied themselves with a Data Activator role from ReadyRolls.com. It's crazy. If you haven't got anything from this episode, it's the data is there, and you have this opportunity to utilize it to such a max that I heard guys and gals in their moving company owners within like the first 2-3 weeks of applying this. So they are in it only for $1,000. They have a VA that's doing this for them, and one of them booked $40,000 worth of business
in 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yep.
So
in the first 3 weeks, and Hunter hears it. A lot with his
you want
clients.
massive ROI? It's right there. Everybody, please, thank you so much for watching and listening. Subscribe, follow, share your comments. Is it working for you? Is it not working for you? Is there a better option that you're trying to apply? Is the steps that Steven gave you? What did you get to take away from that? Because I know even without a Data Activator role myself yet, there was some action items right in there that I'm like, oh, wait a second, I need to start doing this. And one of them was really finding out, especially if you have the access to find out the realtor, is thanking them and saying, hey, everything went really well for the move. We just moved Mrs. Jones yesterday. It was a pleasure doing business with you. And they're going to go, oh, I didn't know you did it. Oh, great. Well, we should follow up. And why don't I stop by your office and we can talk more about helping your clients out? Like, there's a way to do this that these touch points are there and building these relationships are there. And you didn't even have to go out to the real estate office. So it's pretty wild. It's pretty cool.
I got one thing before you sign off. How do we get a hold of Hunter?
Yeah. How do we reach out to you?
You can come to Nashville. You can do that. Or you can
definitely call them if you go to Nashville.
Call me first.
You need a good guide. It's a totally different, I got it marked last year. Hunter was a part of that. You need a guide that knows the town. Not for safety, but just for the most fun.
You guys, we were all just together in Nashville, for ATA. It's a fun city. Plenty of fun. You reach me, Hunter at USAHomelistings.com.
And what about Insta?
I'm on Instagram, Hunter T Munn. You'll see a lot of pictures of my dog.
Okay. And Facebook as well too.
And you're also on LinkedIn. One of the most entertaining stories.
Yeah, you're on LinkedIn. We'll have the LinkedIn link on here as well too.
Yep.
And then I got one pinpoint here. Hunter, we like to have an SOP from our guests to share with the team. Is there any SOPs that you can think of for best use cases at USA that we can share? That you'll share with us?
Ooh, I got some good call and email scripts.
That'd be great.
There we go.
Love that.
That'd be perfect.
Great. Perfect. Thank you, Hunter. It's always been a pleasure. Appreciate it, and always a pleasure, Stephen.
The man.
Yeah,
thank you very much for your time.
He's always been so kind and such a friend. So thank you, Hunter, for joining us today. And stay Movified, everybody. Until next time.